Hello. This is Lady Lover Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Actually, very much. Thank you. I'm Lettie, Lady Lover. This is My name is Anthony, and this is our special guest, Stephanie Rae.
Hi.
And she's actually a very, very special guest today. So I'm excited about today's topic, and I think that everybody else will be as well. So what we're discussing today is addictions, and there are many, many forms. And it comes in many, many fucking forms. And I think that's the thing that not everybody realizes. I know I didn't. And it took me a while to actually see that. And I would love to we're going to get into it. And we're going to discuss it. So I know that there's drug addictions, alcoholism. I had a battle with that as well. I used to drink not very much in the beginning, and then it kind of spread into drinking 7 a.m. all the way to at night. And would be in at night, after I would stop drinking, I would have to smoke so that I can go to sleep. And so one leads to another. And also, I do admit that I have an addictive personality, and that plays a part, does it not?
It can, right?
I think it does.
A lot of people look at an addictive personality and think, I find myself not being able to say no to certain things or feeling obligated to do certain things. And I like that you touch base on addiction can be more than just drugs and alcohol.
Very much for more, sure. Yes.
What other kinds of things do you think you can be addicted to?
So if I'll go off myself. I was addicted to people that had issues, people that had problems, people that had their own addictions.
Fixing people.
I was addicted to pleasing people, because what I learned now was that I had so many issues that I did not acknowledge or even recognize, because you have to recognize it in order to acknowledge it. And to me, I was just like, nah, I'm fine, because I'm doing this. But behind the scenes, I was not fine. I would pick people that I saw needed help, that had their own addictions, which in turn, that was something. And I would base off that, which would counteract into something else, and then something else. And then once that was done, it would go into something else, whether it be sex, whether it be drugs, alcohol, same, whether it be anything like that. It was all off something.
Like, say, if they had anxiety issues, you would want to help them through it, or kind of make it so they can deal with it in better deal with their anxiety issues,
healthier way or something,
or depression issues.
Do you think that you intentionally looked for people who had issues or concerns or problems, like fixer-uppers? Do you think you intentionally looked for them, or you were just attracted to something about them and then later on realized that there was something chaotic about?
Not to sound like a broken record, but I was attracted to people that was an image of what I grew up with.
Okay.
And anytime somebody nice came into the picture, I would shut down because I didn't know what to do.
You didn't want them.
It was strange. It was foreign to me.
Yeah.
And I didn't know people, and and to this day, we've touched base again, and it's been great. And I've expressed all the issues, because she was one of the ones that she had nothing but good intentions, and she came trying, and she actually gave me some insight, because she was like, she goes, I knew you needed help, and I would try to love you or show you affection or help you, and I would pull away.
Yeah.
But I would drink to make myself okay to do that, to be affectionate, because we didn't grow up with affection. Me and my sister, we didn't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was one addiction, is being more, and I wouldn't say chasing, but attracted to trouble. And I knew, you could tell when you know what I mean? I knew because I could feel it, but that was just the energy that I gravitated towards because I felt like I was doing something
Good, happy, healthy,
yeah.
functioning
Like
relationships
honestly,
don't work.
I felt like I was better
Sure.
in a sense, and let me help you with my bullshit knowledge that I honestly I couldn't stand by today at all. You know what I mean?
And I think that sometimes we steer away from the good, healthy relationships because my mom says that I like la mala vida,
That's
the bad life,
my
you
mom
know?
said that.
You like that. You look for the trouble. You called it trouble, right?
it's trouble.
So we talked about drugs, alcohol, relationships, broken people. What else? What else can you be addicted to, do you think?
Be addicted to feelings.
Yes.
You can be addicted
Feelings
to being
can be very dangerous.
getting hurt
Okay. So you look for the
Kinda
things
like
that
being
hurt
a
you.
glutton for punishment,
because
sort of.
there you go, glutton for punishment. And then some people like to suffer in silence, and you just deal with it because it's a feeling. Some people, they forget how it feels to feel, and they don't know real feelings like myself. In all honesty, now I would say everything that I knew then was total bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
How long did it take you to accept or realize that you had a problem? And I'm sure that people in my life, people had told me that I had an alcohol problem. I started drinking when I was 27, and slowly it increased to more than I wanted to. And even I have this story of when I decided to get sober. My daughter, I was so happy, and I wanted to share with her that she was the reason that I made the decision. And she was 15 at the time, and she cried, and she said, I'm really glad that you're sober, Mom. That's great. But it's not fair because my brother gets a sober mom, and I didn't.
That's
So did she want her brother to have?
No, it's not
She
that.
wanted
but I
me
know,
sober sooner, and
I
I
know what you
wasn't
mean
ready
with
for
that.
it.
Okay.
No, I
So-
know what you mean by that.
When did you actually realize and accept for yourself?
I knew there was a problem right on because I know me, and in all honesty, I didn't drink before. I didn't start drinking until and everything, and I started drinking then because the relationship before that, which was my very first girlfriend, we were together for years, and then when that ended, I took the time. I've always taken the time and to get myself together, but then I would get sucked in by the same type of person, which happened, and that's why this time I was like, repetitive cycle, no more. So now I do the opposite. Even if I could be like, I really like this brand, do the opposite because you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I didn't start drinking until then, and I started off, and I called them lesbian beers. I started off with ciders.
Yeah.
Because I still don't like. I would pitch my nose in. I don't like the way.
Yeah.
So that's what I did, and then
Woodchuck cider's
when
pretty
I
good.
when I met her,
Dangerous, but it's good.
she introduced me to liquor because liquor doesn't bloat you or anything like that, and that's what I was like, it's it's true. So I was drinking. I started with whiskey, but I had to chew gum so that I can drink. I made myself drink. And I didn't like, still to this day, like, I'll drink I don't like it. I don't like the way it tastes. I still have to,
Whiskey's
But,
delicious.
no, that was the thing. So it started with that, and it progressed. Then I started using that as a coping thing. Not to cope, but just because everything seems so blasé and just...
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I need a pep in my step. I need... let's do this. Because if not, I'm just
You didn't
blah.
feel you?
Yeah, I didn't feel like I was interesting or being interesting, because in all honesty, I could literally stay to myself
Sure.
and not talk.
Okay. So is isolating an addiction?
Isolating is an addiction, because that I have to get myself out of, because I get into a hermit mode and I feel that it's for my own good. But I do it when I do put myself in isolation when I feel that things are getting a little too much and I need to think. And when it's you know what I mean? I have to think, and then I'll process everything, and then it's like, okay, let's do this. All right, let's get out. Let's do this. But
you know what? You're not alone in that. There's so many people that I know that they're like that. They have to get away. I mean, sometimes I'm like that too. I mean, maybe not as much as you, I guess. I don't know exactly. But there are times when I just kind of isolate myself like a little bit. I don't seclude myself completely off, but I just kind of, chill to myself for a little bit. But there are people that I know that that's what they do. They like to, they will do exactly that, what you said. They'll, seclude themselves away, and then just kind of like get in their own little world, and kind of like just let they need to be by themselves to kind of get their shit together, or to compose themselves, kind of, stuff like that. Like you said, and do exactly that. And there's nothing wrong with that.
how I used to do it before was that when I would isolate myself, I would just be drinking all day.
So, so I like that you brought up that it is good to retreat when you need to collect yourself. You need to step away and, but what's the difference? How do you know when you're retreating for that and when it's becoming a problem? And that
You don't.
Well, I
Sometimes.
Well, me only because like I try to make sure that I'm aware of everything, and I guess you could say maybe I'm addicted to breaking down everything and being like, all right,
analyzing yourself.
I analyze
over and over.
myself all the time, because it's like, because that's how I'm able to be aware, because I've known and dated people who knew what their issues were, but they don't care. And I would call them this is just how I am type people. And I don't believe that this is just me. This is how I am.
Yeah.
I don't believe in that, because you can change that anytime.
So,
You can.
so
you can.
in terms of addiction, we can sit here and we can find ways to be addicted to everything, Starbucks, whatever. But
My girls.
but addiction,
My oldest one, she loves Starbucks, like all the
He's
fucking
good.
time. And like, you're 15. How
Starbucks.
much caffeine do you need? I mean, really.
addiction to things like sex and pornography and working out, controlling what you intake, your eating habits, right? These types of addictions, as well as drugs and alcohol. Working, we have that workaholic, right? Throwing myself into my work.
If you love your job, it's not such a bad thing.
No,
Right.
because I'm gonna let you finish, Brian.
Thank you. So what I was going to say is that when you're looking at a behavior, right? Even the best behaviors that we think are helpful, right? When you're looking at a behavior, it's when it becomes problematic for the people in your life and when it becomes problematic for your own daily living, right? What if I am a workaholic but I never go home to take care of my kids?
That's where you're escaping something.
Right. And so that's how we like to look at what is an addiction, is when it becomes a problem for the people in my life, when it's no longer in my control.
I agree with you 100%. So I feel
How do you feel?
that everything that has transpired in my life is a learning point.
Sure.
And I believe that that's with anybody, but you have to be cognizant of, like, at least, be aware, like, what can I take from this? How can I implement that in, whatever. My mother worked nonstop, and before that, you know, she had this why mental health thing is now very about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to always, you know, say there was some, but she didn't want to hear that. You have to be strong-minded. You need to be strong. Don't be weak. Just put it to God. You know what I mean? He wouldn't make you like that, shit like that. So when she finally corrected herself, when she stopped drinking and doing all that, you know, she became a nurse and started going to church, but her addiction was religion. We went through, I did, because, you know, I lived with her my entire life, so went through so many religions and so many. This is why I think the path that I chose, this myself, I've seen the ins and outs of all of that, and she stuck to that because she was trying to escape something. Then it went to work, and she would work nonstop, so many shifts in San Antonio, drive to Corpus, drive to Floresville, and work with no days off. So then her money, she would buy stuff, but she wouldn't get to use it. She would just put it in a room in the house. So there was a room just full of...
So she's acquiring things that she doesn't ever really get to enjoy.
Because she's making the money, so she feels she should spend it, but she doesn't want to have the space and time because I know she was keeping her mind busy. Now in the end, you know, I understand pretty much why, but she didn't want to address it. She didn't want to tell nobody. She didn't want to discuss it. And that part about how she was like with me and my sisters, how we grew up, once she changed her ways, you know, my brother, my baby brother, he got the better part.
Sure.
And so it's like, you know, we'll make jokes and stuff, but I get it and I understand it. So I use that for myself. And then with everybody that I meet, every little issue that they have and that they, you know what I mean? I use that. And I don't know if we would say like I'm harnessing or whatnot, but I take all of that and I implement that as like a therapy thingy for myself.
Sure.
But there's also issues that I didn't acknowledge within myself that I, all honestly, didn't know until after my mom passed.
Yeah.
That's when everything became just shit. I don't know. It took me getting a therapist to be like, and I was refusing for that. I was like, well, I don't feel comfortable discussing my private life with a stranger. So
Sure.
you know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah, no, I was stubborn. And she was like, well, I'm not a stranger. And I was like, no.
But now you're here discussing your
Now
private
I'm
life with all
discussing-
these
Yeah, you are.
strangers.
Transparency really does help.
Therapist met for the
Transparency
first time.
really does help. And I, as embarrassing as it is, everybody, this is it. And I didn't know. And I was too embarrassed to even ask for help.
Yeah.
Anybody that would tell me, I was like, I don't know. And then boom, break down.
Yeah.
Like I would just start fucking crying. And I'm just like, had to look out and be like, be a bad bitch. But
Which
no,
is
I would
also-
fucking cry. No, for real, I would break down.
Which is also a learned behavior. I guess maybe not so much an addiction, but shutting off your emotions, right? If that's something that you practice
was.
and you learn very early on, it's also something we learn as kids. Just like using substances as a coping mechanism.
Like a crutch and shit.
Yes.
I started with pills, and then it went to the hard shit.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you both that question, and
Go
I'll
ahead.
answer that
Let's
question
do
for
it.
myself as
I'm
well.
ready.
Okay.
How old were you when you first did your first substance? Who did you do it with? And why were y'all doing it?
Would you like to go first, or you want me to go first? Because mine's a lot. So
Okay.
Here's one. My first substance was the marijuana.
Okay.
marijuana.
Yes, the marijuana. Yes, the weed, the ganja, the reefer.
Okay.
Yes, I was 15 and I was with some buddies of mine. And I think mostly we did it because we weren't supposed to.
Oh, okay.
Ooh,
Taboo. We weren't supposed
We
to.
weren't supposed to. Yeah. And and one of my friends that I first started smoking with way back when I was 15 still smokes to this day.
Okay.
Right? You know, no names out of privacy and
Sure.
shit. You know, but I mean, he knows who he is, a little fucker.
Oh,
you know?
I'm sorry if I'm not worried about pride. I apologize. So,
Well, because I mean, I never, discussed, with them. Hey, I'm gonna do this. I might throw y'all's names out there, So
Sure.
I never seen it, So, and until they give me the, hey, if you want to put my name, hey, go ahead, go for it, Until they say okay, yeah. But, yeah, he still smokes up every day. I've not, it's been a while since but yes, the first time I was 15 in high school. And we were at Schultz Elementary.
Okay.
And it was we had a good old time. It was fucking hilarious.
Okay.
Everything was funny.
Okay.
oh, me? Oh,
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yes, I'm done. Your turn.
I was in my late 20s, and it was not my late 20s. It was my early mid 20s when I had opened up this tattoo shop. I was tattooing in my closet. It was called Lettie's Closet, and I was tattooing so much. See, that was another thing, because
Lettie's Closet, I love
when I enjoyed something, I would immerse myself into it and burn myself out like that. Mm-hmm. And it happens with everything, because anything that I try, not to toot my own horn, but I make sure that I do it to the best of my ability. Not saying that I was good or anything, but I did it to the best of my ability, and I used that. So I wasn't paying attention to home life or anything. I was doing that, and I would do it from 8 in the morning to like 5 in the morning and sleep that little bit, and then opened up a shop, and I was taking Vicodin. Mm-hmm. I forgot what it was. Something I had, because nerve damage started coming in. And I started getting muscle deterioration in my legs, because I would just sit there and I couldn't even they were swelling, because I would just sit there for hours and I wouldn't get up for a break or nothing. Just do it. So
total
Vicodin.
immersion.
Vicodin. I started with Vicodin. Then I started buying Vicodin, because I wasn't able to get prescriptions.
Why weren't
as
you able
much.
to get prescriptions?
Huh? Oh, because I would take them before they were even ready. And so I had to wait. So in between, I would buy it and spend so much money on Vicodins. Then after that, when I stopped that, it went to Coke. And it went to Coke.
And it continued.
And it continued with that. But then I didn't like that, because I'm a Nazi about my sleep, which is why I'm even more of a Nazi about my sleep. Yeah, I'm a sleep Nazi. Yeah.
Sleep is awesome. I love
8
sleep.
hours, no less than 6. That's it. And everybody can tell you now, I'm just like, nah, look, I'll look at the time. I gotta go sleep.
It's bedtime.
But it went to Coke. Then after that, it went into...
Keep going,
Yes.
keep going.
Yes, I do. If you're asking if people are able to learn addictive traits from their parents or peers, yes, I do believe. I wouldn't say that it would be directly because of that, but it's imprinted, and it's just something that you just fill out.
It can be a learned
But the
behavior.
other addiction was methamphetamines and heroin. And for real, not
Is it for real?
no,
What is it
not
about?
it was powder form.
Yeah.
I would sniff it, because let me tell you, I thought no, because if you smoked it or you injected it,
It's not the same as...
you are
yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
For real.
So to touch base on the question that was asked, can we learn it from our parents? Can we learn it? Yeah,
yes,
right?
for
We
sure.
learn everything from
Yeah.
what we see, right? What's mirrored from us. We learn how from very little children, right? If you're a 4-year-old sitting at a table and you spill a glass of milk and your parent comes up to you and smacks you upside the head and says, "What the heck is wrong with you? You're so clumsy,
Very true. Very true.
piece of shit," all
Very
this, that,
true.
whatever the parents say, you learn that mistakes are bad and I have to be perfect.
Very true.
However, if you spill the glass of milk and a parent comes over and says, "Hey, let's
Don't
clean
worry
this
about
up.
it."
It's
Yeah.
okay. Mistakes happen. Next time, hold it with 2 hands." You learn that mistakes are a learning opportunity, and you don't judge yourself. And this is something we learn very early on. With that, watching our parents drink, watching our parents use substances, watching our aunts and uncles and every party, especially in the Hispanic culture, watching everybody celebrate life, celebrate death, celebrate a job, celebrate a loss of a job, maybe not celebrate, but right, grieving.
Yeah.
We're using alcohol for every single emotion and feeling or whatever other substance. And when you do that, you're showing the people who are watching you, this is how you handle your emotions.
So, to touch on that, the weird thing about me, and it's weird, this is why I was like, okay, I know that, and I figured it's for a reason, and now, being where I'm at now, I'm like, okay, I'll look back and be like, okay, all of this was for a reason, the way I thought about it, because like, how I don't like bars or clubs or anything like that, because growing up, you know, me growing up with my mother, I was there, like I slept there, woke up there, you know what I mean? Because she was there.
Yeah.
Then when she stopped drinking, and you know, with the working thing, I would hope she'd be working, because if I had to deal with her, it was just the yelling, and you know what I mean? It was hectic. So it was like, oh, just go to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or I would just, that's where I started the hermit thing, also because I was always grounded, but not because I was bad, but because she didn't want that. Okay, so like, you know, when people now, like they go to therapy and they don't want to be bothered. There's people with the sensory shit and whatnot.
Yeah, like
not
sensory
shit as
overload.
in it's not important,
like
but no.
Yeah.
But so she would just ground me for any reason. So I was always in my room. So this is why I always say, like, if I ever committed a crime, I think I would be totally chill in a cell. Because I would just be like, nobody bothers me.
I'm
You feed
by
me 3
myself,
times.
chilling.
Good, right?
No bills to pay.
Right?
But
I
but
got
for
food,
real.
I got clothing, a roof over my head.
And in
pretty
all
house
honesty,
and a cat.
that's how my mom felt. And we have a question real quick. So do you think that people are able, another one. So I first used with family. I was a normal thing to drink with family at a young age. Little did I know that years later I would be putting a needle in my body. Joey Rodriguez, yes. I think it what is it called? It transpires? Or what's that word?
It can lead to that.
It
Escalates.
escalates.
Yes.
But I think it depends on
the person.
because, like with myself, that's why I didn't like drinking. I didn't like bars or clubs. Still to this day, but I just make myself. But then when I was doing the methamphetamine and the heroin, I was doing that for 4 years straight, nonstop, straight, spending buku's money. And in all honesty,
Buku
I
is a
made
lot.
so much money being on drugs than I do. Like, I don't make much money now, but I made so much money because I was awake.
So I wanna touch on that, Joe. Thank you for watching, and
Thank you, Joe.
for
Thank you
the
very
question.
much. I appreciate that.
Love you, buddy. So with that, when you're making the fast money, when you're making the good money, when you can stay awake, it feeds that pleasure circuit in your mind.
It didn't feed me. I didn't like it. I just knew I had to.
So
you had to make the money.
I was selling movies and everything.
but to talk about
All of y'all that they're all everybody.
yeah.
Thank you for buying my movies.
So to give an example of how we learn this thing, my mother wasn't a drinker. She really wasn't a drinker. She didn't like to drink, but there were 4 times a year that she would drink tequila to the point of we would watch her fall down, things like that. It was on her wedding anniversary, the day they got divorced, my grandmother's passing, and my grandfather's passing, right? So these were 4 big times throughout the year that I would see my mom, who's a regular, normal, everyday workaholic, living, functioning, going to church, doing that thing. But on these 4 days, her emotions would take over and she would drink. And what I learned from that is that if I'm having an emotion that I don't want to feel, I can drink it away.
You drink it away, correct?
I can drink and then I'll feel better.
And it changes.
And that was
true.
That was the reality for me.
Sometimes, for some people, instead of drinking it away, it enhances that emotion.
Right. And so for me, that was the reality for me. And you're correct. For other people, they suppress their emotions unless they're drinking. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
There are times, though, where I would drink so that I could just sit in my room and cry, because I was very, like you,
Kind of
very
acted as a
good
release.
at locking away my emotions.
Wouldn't
and I
that
needed
be
the release.
a good thing though, to release it instead of keeping it bottled
Well,
in?
releasing it, yes, but
If I
releasing
have
it in
to
a
use
healthy
alcohol
way,
to release it,
in a healthy
Does
way.
it matter if you have to use alcohol as opposed to if you don't use alcohol and
technically-
then you keep it in?
What I learned that when you use alcohol,
mean,
you're
I'm not saying
masking.
it's a good thing
No,
or
no,
anything,
you're
but
you're
you know what I mean?
masking it because you're not. It makes you happy to where you're just like, oh yeah, this, I'm sad. This, but you're not fully putting out the feelings and feeling it and dealing with it. You're just masking it, and I did that too.
In vino veritas. And wine there is truth.
Yeah. Well,
when
I
you-
mean, Jesus thought so. So
Well, I'm saying like, so as opposed to not using alcohol, right? You keep your emotions in. Not really healthy, I guess.
Not
So,
healthy.
sure.
Yeah,
But
not
let's
healthy
say,
at all.
okay, I want to release these emotions. I'm gonna get a bottle of whatever or a 6-pack of whatever. So I know when I drink this or that, I'll be able to release
But
instead of holding this in.
you think
Because it helps me to do that.
you think it's to help you to release, or you think that if you didn't drink, you'd be feeling all the emotions. You'd be sitting there crying. You'd be doing all that, right?
That
Right?
would also be a good thing too, as
Okay,
opposed to
so
holding
if
it
you
in. No,
drink it, it puts you in a different mind state and mood to where you're not crying and being all sad. You could be crying and being all sad, but not in the way that you would be had you not been drinking.
I think that would depend on the person.
It does depend on the person, but here's what I'll
Yes.
tell you about that.
Because some drink to suppress and some drink to release.
True.
And that's true. Some
I
people-
agree with that.
That is a true statement.
Oh, yeah.
But when we look at the relationship with substances, right? You don't have to call yourself an addict. You don't have to call yourself an alcoholic. What I'm talking
Which
about
nobody
is
would ever
what I'm
admit.
right. So what I'm talking about is
Not a
looking
legitimate
at
alcoholic. Well, sometimes.
looking at the relationship with substances. Is this substance a crutch? And if you're using it
It
to
can be.
release, it's a crutch. If you're using it to suppress, it's a crutch.
I used mine as a crutch. I used my substances as a crutch. And I noticed that through every pinpointed. Actually, I apologize if I
No,
interrupted.
that was it.
Every person in my life, with my very first girlfriend, was when I was on the drugs for the 4 years. And I remember when I was just like tired one day. I was like, I don't want to. I had to have her get picked up. And I felt bad about that, but I got her out. Promise. Got her right back out. But I needed her away because she didn't want to stop. And I remember, as soon as she left, they took her. Whatever I had, I gave it to a guy in the street. I was like, here, man, you can have it. And never touched it after that. But then another person, that's when I started drinking. And then after that, I started dating girls. My last relationship, all that, they were all cocaine or something like that. And it was like, and so I would just express, I do not like that. And I would hope that you don't, because I don't want to be involved in that. And
Because you've been
then
there.
I would get mad about their friends that, they would do that with. And then sometimes, I'm not going to say I didn't slip. I'm telling you, I would hang out. And that's when I started filtering out the people, because when I would, hey, here, you want to? I'd be like, oh, no. All right.
Sure.
Boom. There it is. And then I would feel so ugly and just be like, I just want to go to sleep.
In
I
any
like sleep too. I love sleep. Sleep is the shit.
in any recovery program, they say that you need to change the people, places, and
Yes,
things,
that's,
right?
That's
Right.
hence why I retreat.
So I wanna ask you guys a question about,
Go ahead.
if you're working on sobriety, can you be in a relationship with somebody who's not?
Okay.
And there is no right or wrong answer. It's for you personally. Can you?
Personally, I could. I mean, well, it really it depends on the level. Because I do remember 3 years ago, is it September? I was dating this one woman. and she was a legitimate alcoholic. I mean, me and my buddies, we call ourselves alcoholics jokingly, like all the time. I mean, we drink all the time, you know, beer, whiskey, whatever. You know, we don't drink to get all fucked up, you know, we just drink just because, you know. But this, you know, she was a legitimate alcoholic. And for me, I thought, okay, cool, you know. And it lasted every bit of about a month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wasn't until after we broke up. There was this one night, and it was the last straw, and we had a discussion having to do with Thanksgiving. I was kind of inviting her, saying, hey, you know, well, we do it at my place, you know, here. And she took it as I was rubbing it in her face, as opposed to saying, hey, we do it here, you're welcome to go or to come. Because she was, you know, and yeah, it kind of blew up, and that was it. It wasn't until after I left her that it was like, I guess for her, it was a sobering moment. And it wasn't until after I left her that she decided, you know what, this is not a good thing.
Okay.
And so she, you know,
I wouldn't
she
trust
stopped for a while.
I wouldn't trust myself, because I did trust myself, and I thought that I was better. And I noticed that people that I would hang out with, whatever substance they were stuck on, if they were just like, you know, and I would say, no, but then days later, boom, I'm trying it again. And then I'll sit there and be like, oh. So that's when I had to cut everybody off, because as much as I would think that I'm in control at that time, now, like, fuck no, man, somebody can just throw shit out of here, and I'll be like, Lettie out.
Okay.
I gotta go.
But would you want to be in a relationship with that?
I would not. No.
Okay. And I like that you say you don't trust yourself, right?
Yeah.
So that's not passing judgment on the person who is drinking or smoking or using substances.
Yeah.
But for you don't trust yourself, so it's not something you can be around.
And even if I did, I would just rather say no.
Sure.
You?
Well, I was kind of looking at that one about not being emotionally strong enough.
Look right here. This one's important real quick.
Sometimes
I apologize real quick.
What's it?
Giovanni Lopez, right there. The other
one
one.
on the back.
The
What
one
did
in the
it say?
back. Can I see the one in the back? That one.
What does it say? See,
It took me a while to figure out whiskey was just fuel for the loud engine inside my head. Yes. Yes.
it
and
can be.
I love
yes,
you
it
very
can
much.
be.
So
And
letting
yes.
those emotions out, right? Because
Yes.
you talked about how drinking can let your emotions out.
Yes,
And so
sometimes you need to. I mean, like because sometimes people just like they, hold their emotions in.
And
Naturally. Just I do usually, for the most part, all the time.
sure. And
if I started getting to drinking whiskey, if under certain circumstances, if a subject comes up, well,
But see-
there goes emotions. There they are.
so for you, the
Sometimes.
drinking allowed you to express emotions that you
normally
don't
hold-
freely express when you're sober.
Pretty much, yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna address that Giovanni Lopez thing
But for
again.
Giovanni, it's more so when I'm angry, I turn to whiskey because that's the fuel to the fire that I don't have the courage to say what's bothering me when I'm sober. But if I throw that in there,
And
See,
it goes back to
here it goes.
to
in vino
address
veritas.
that if you pick up from whatnot, that's my son.
yeah,
You get it.
yeah, you learn those things.
You can.
You
yes.
learn those things.
Learn,
yeah.
It can be learned behavior.
Yeah. And the other one that was on there, the one that you were referencing about the emotions, that I think that was in response to you saying that I can only express my emotions when I'm drinking.
For some people, yes. I mean, for me,
See, but you have
for
to
me too.
acknowledge it.
Yes,
'cause
yes. For
like
me,
he
that
did,
it
and
is.
he cut it.
For me,
good.
that's how it is. I mean, I normally don't. I just normally don't, unless it's like a real touchy issue or subject. Like for instance, my grandpa.
Oh,
Like him, like when
sorry about that, man.
like I don't have to be, under the influence or having to,
You can just think about
express a
it.
little. Yeah, it kind of gets me a little bit.
it,
Other things, for the most part, it's sad, I don't really show,
Yeah.
But are you afraid to show? Is that what it is? Or
I just think I just don't want to. I'm not so much scared of, I don't want to.
Okay.
I mean, like, I guess I feel like they're my issues to deal with,
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that
I remember saying that.
that I don't have a very small circle of friends that have been there for me, in my down times, like.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they're my issues. They're mine to deal with.
But do you think that, like with this, do you think that would, like?
I am really
Can you do
grateful though
anything with
for those
follow?
for those few that in my little group of friends. I am really grateful for them.
That stuck by you?
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
So Lettie.
Like
That's another one.
like
Not very many people stick by you.
like
Yeah.
Not very many people at all.
I cannot even, like, there's no way that I could even
I learned
repay them for the times that they've been there for me.
Sure.
You know.
Lettie,
Yes, ma'am.
we cannot ignore
What?
what's going on.
Oh no, it was
Liar.
no. Okay, so no, it was sad because when I was, doing all the shit, you passed down bullshit,
Yeah. We do.
and it's true. And I can't say like. I mean, I never seen my mom do like the drugs that I did, but it's an escape.
Yeah. Her escape was a different
Yeah.
a
Her
different
escape was work.
source, right?
Yeah, hers, because, she was, but I can't say that you can't say you're above either drug because anything could be a drug.
And I
Everything's a fucking drug.
And I wanna touch back on that because you touch on something that a lot of people look at, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people in the world of recovery who are just entering or who are not at the acceptance place, right? A lot of people will say, well, I just drink alcohol. I don't do hard drugs. I don't do this. I don't do that. And at one point in time for you, it was, well, as long as I'm not injecting the heroin, then it's not as bad,
Yes,
right?
that's exactly what I would think and say. Or yes, exactly.
Or if I'm taking, uppers, but in pill form, right? Like no dose or something. It's not the same thing as snorting coke.
So to touch on that was because also we're gonna let people know about the numbers at the bottom. Was to touch on that was because when people take that medicine that's basically meth in a thing, the
Methadone?
therapist
Adderall.
And with the be taking that, wouldn't sleep all night the next day and just be take my Adderall. It's meth.
Yeah.
And it's like you're addicted to that. You're addicted to the Adderall. It's an addiction. Like and so after everything now it's like, no, I'm very more aware, but I'd rather be aware of myself because I know where I'm fucking up and hopefully everybody else will see from my mistakes. But I hope that if you or somebody that you love has an issue or a problem, any type of concerns, you can please...
There's a ticker.
There's a ticker right there at the bottom, and those numbers are very important. And I remember those numbers I needed.
Any one of them will help you.
All of them. Haven for Hope, San Antonio Behavioral Health, Addiction Recovery Resources. I'd like to throw in, what was it again already? Dang it, I just forgot.
It's okay, you'll remember.
That's okay. That's okay.
It's-
You can always add it at the end.
Yeah, dang, brain fart. My
So-
bad.
The other thing I wanted to say is, one, your vulnerability here, and I know that everybody can see that, is so authentic, and that's okay. Like, don't ever
don't tell
apologize
nobody,
for
right?
that. Be authentic.
Don't tell nobody I cried.
Right? All on
But
TV and shit.
but here's the thing. This is the reality of addiction.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is, it affects our kids.
Yeah.
Having to like with your son, having to hear my daughter look me in the eyes and
Yes.
instead of being happy and celebrate that I wanted to get sober, she was hurt.
Oh, yeah.
And she cried and she's angry. And all I can do is accept that that's her reality.
Yeah.
She didn't have a sober mom, and her brother gets one. And that resentment there took a long time to repair between the two of them, because resentment comes in many forms.
Shoot, tell me about it.
You know?
For real. For real. For
So,
real.
I think it's important that people see the reality of what addiction looks like for someone who has done the harder drugs and alcohol, for someone who is, you know, struggling with alcoholism to this day, right?
And I'm not saying I don't drink.
Yeah.
I don't drink during the week like I used to. I keep it to a weekend because...
And that's what I wanted to, that was the last question that I wanted to ask. Where are you, or where do you think you are in your recovery process?
My thing was boredom. Boredom is what, because once I'm just done with it, I'm done. I'll stop it. It's no problem. And I don't look back. Same with people. Once somebody, that's it, move on. Don't look back. No issues. That's my thing, was just boredom. But then I remember I would call my sisters and be like, if I'm working, and I started work after therapy and everything, I started working. I was afraid. I didn't want to turn out like my mom, to just be working and working.
Yeah.
And so I would call and I would ask my older sister and be like, am I doing it right? Because I don't want to be like her and think that, you know, feel like I'm making progress, but I'm hiding something. So now I'll work a little bit, and then I'll just go on trips or something. I'm about to go on a road trip at the end of this month for a few weeks, and fuck it. Money will come however it comes. Just that's it. Day by day.
So I want to share this with you.
Spirituality is the most important part of recovery. Thank you,
Joe.
Joey.
I want to share talking about spirituality, because Joe, that was where I'm headed.
My thing.
This right here is a list of 4 questions.
Yes, ma'am.
That was shared with me by a young girl who was in recovery. She was recovering from meth. She was about 17, and she had been on it since she was 13. And as she started to recover and was recognizing that she could love herself, she was given these questions, and she shared them with me. I learned from a 17-year-old.
It happens.
So
Such is life.
C'est la vie.
I wanna share these questions with you,
Yes.
and the viewers, so that they can stay in tune with their own recovery if that's where they're at. So question number 1 is, what have you done for your recovery today?
Been very cognizant of everything that I've been doing wrong, and every day is a new day to change it and to make something different. I'm not going to make it all, but I can stop something. Hence being very honest. I used to lie about my life because I didn't want nobody to know.
Yeah. Question number 2, what have you done for your mental health or self-care today?
Therapy.
Okay.
Self-therapy, podcast therapy, real therapy.
Okay. Question number 3, how have you been of service to others today?
I hope that I'm being of service to others today currently
Okay.
by doing this, hopefully.
And then the last question is, what have you done for your higher power today?
Make sure that I'm trying to be the best human possible, even though I'm not going to get to the best, but
The best for you.
best for me.
Sure.
And apologizing to everybody that I've done wrong. I've been doing that step by step.
Okay. So these 4 questions are just a general check-in with yourself. Ask yourself before you go to bed.
I give thanks.
How did I do today?
I do
You
that.
know,
My neighbors think I'm weird.
yeah.
I stand outside. For real.
Hey, whatever
For real.
works for you, you know? Yeah. So I'm going to leave these with you.
Please do.
And
I would appreciate that. Thank you very much. And this is going on the refrigerator. actually, not even on that. This is going on my visor because this is staying with me. And I'm going to discuss this with you every day. You're going to be my go-to person.
Okay.
And
I'm here
don't
for
have
you.
a go-to person, so
I'm here for
I
you.
appreciate that very much.
Sober supports are very important in recovery.
Very much so.
In
all recovery.
In all recovery, in any stage of recovery, having a good support system is vital to,
Yes.
you know.
And just so everybody knows, relationships, it doesn't have to be just drugs. Relationships, people, all of that. That's all an addiction. You choose certain people, it's an addiction. You want to be that's an addiction.
Yeah.
You want to be it's all that. You want to do drugs, you want to, it's all an addiction. Even thinking that you're this and this is an addiction.
Codependency is a huge addiction.
Is a huge
that we sometimes we don't even
motherfucking
realize we're in
addiction.
it, you know? We don't realize that we're the savior or the hero or the enabler or, yeah.
I'm not ashamed of it though. I am, but I'm not, because I hope that my embarrassment will help y'all.
Embarrassment.
So, well, yeah, because it's embarrassing for what I'm discussing, but it's what happened and it's what it is. And hopefully y'all can take from that, utilize it however possible, because I never asked for help.
Like I said earlier, before the show, you're only embarrassed if you let yourself feel embarrassed.
Well, I'm letting myself feel embarrassed so that I know it's embarrassing, because if I didn't let myself feel embarrassed, then I would just think nothing's wrong.
That not necessarily.
Am I wrong
true.
or?
Well,
Hey, your feelings are your feelings.
I'm just saying,
if you're
like,
not embarrassed about it, doesn't mean
it's
that,
like me thinking I'm a badass and really I wasn't.
well, not so much. I mean, like, I could do something, not feel embarrassed about it, but still know that it's wrong, and you know, I do things I shouldn't do.
I think
I'm irresponsible as fuck, though. You know what I mean?
think
Like, I make
embarrassment
dumb decisions.
helps because
Keeps you humble.
It keeps you humble.
You know what? You're right.
Yeah.
It does.
And if I don't think that I'm embarrassed and I don't allow myself to be embarrassed, then I would continue with my bullshit behavior,
And, you know, I
which
know
I
what
am
you
not
mean, too.
anymore. And this is new to me, y'all. So this is
Because-
great.
And I do know what you mean. Cause,
And I thank you very much for being here.
Absolutely.
Stephanie. Like, this has been helpful to me as well.
Absolutely.
And very much so. I'm gonna
but
Absolutely.
we're gonna
also,
be on
I
this.
don't want to, you know, like to say that too. I mean, I don't want to, you know, make it seem like, oh, I'm not embarrassed or anything, because there are things
Embarrassment is
that,
good
that
sometimes,
I am embarrassed of. I mean, not to say, hey, you shouldn't be, because
No, it's good.
you know, it's easy. It's so much easier said than done.
How many times I've
You know what I
cried
mean?
here, man?
I mean, man,
It's good for
like,
you.
There's, I mean, there's so many things I'm embarrassed about too, and it's hard to, you know, to
Just admit
like
it.
for me to say, hey, you know, you're only embarrassed if you let yourself feel embarrassed. Although there is truth to that, it's, you know, almost hypocritical of me to say that, because there are things that I am embarrassed about too. But it's good advice,
As long
but
as you
hard
admit
to
it.
take it.
As
you know,
long as
like,
you admit it and acknowledge it,
oh yeah, I mean, I fucked up lots
utilize
of
it.
times.
That's
I
good.
mean, you know,
and I just thank everybody for tuning in, because
yes, without you, there wouldn't be.
no,
Lettie wouldn't have her show.
please, if you can share the information at the bottom, please, because
the
if
ticker,
I had
yes.
that, man, it would have been different. I had to end up in a hospital and somebody give it to me because I didn't want to ask for help.
Yeah.
And then everybody apologizing, and I was like, no, it was me.
It is hard
not
to ask
you.
for help sometimes. I mean, I know that difficulty.
Especially if you're a stubborn motherfucker like me.
Man,
I'm a Libra. I'm so sorry.
I'm a
so
Scorpio.
sorry.
I'm stubborn too. What's up?
But
Well, thank you for having me, and
Thank
thank
you
you
for joining
for
us.
I would hope that you can
Yes.
join again, because
absolutely.
there are many topics that we're going to discuss that I know that you would be very useful.
Thank
and
you. And
give you
also,
peace.
again, like I said to you guys earlier, thank you for bringing awareness to recovery, addiction, mental health, and helping eliminate the stigma for those in the Hispanic community, you know, for all of us, you know.
Very
It's
true.
not always easy to ask for help when
It's
when
not.
we're
It's
not,
not.
given the space to do so. So thank you.
It's really not.
Right.
And
It's
you
a
know
pride
what?
thing, I
And
guess.
also for being able to speak to you, it's like, because anybody, you know, it's like you're giving me that safe space, and I appreciate the safe space, no judgment.
Yeah.
It's very helpful.
Oh, I'm judging. All
He's
day-
still got work to do.
He's still
You
got
still got to work
It's
on
okay,
him.
I got you, man.
all
I
day,
got you, man. I
all
got
day,
you.
all day, every day.
I'm not
It's
saying
like
that
it's
I'm,
like the good and evil, the
it's
angel
all
and the
right.
devil
This is why,
sitting on the
look,
shoulder.
we're-
Yeah.
You're gonna be coming on more, okay? Because it'll be like, look, my guy right here.
Yeah,
He's got it.
Judgment every day.
Judgment.
No,
Judgment.
but
Yeah.
this
Yeah, I judge
I
myself, too.
appreciate the safe space because that's very important.
Very-
And since my therapy and everything, I've only had one person that, allowed me that and asked questions, and I answered honestly, and that hasn't happened in.
Yeah.
You don't understand, so I appreciate you.
Thank
woman.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
for coming.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank
So.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in to Lady Lover Podcast. And next Thursday, 9 p.m., we're about to tune in again. So I would enjoy your feedback. And please, please, please share the information at the bottom. That is very important. More than anything else, share the information at the bottom. And don't be afraid to ask questions
Or ask for
and
help.
reach out or ask for help. Trust me, don't be afraid.
Pride can be a motherfucker,
I love y'all very much. Oodles and noodles.
but ask for help if you need.
Yes.
There's no shame in it. There really isn't.
So now I guess we can just party right.
Yes.
Where's the strippers?
Let's go get beer.
Just kidding. No.